All right, welcome in. It's the Breer Report for April the 3rd, mailbag edition. We've got a full mailbag for you on the website as well. More answers to more of your questions. Check that out on the mmqb.com. But right here, right now, coming out of that league meeting in Palm Beach, Florida, we are going to get to three of your questions. Our first question is coming from Josh Wyrich. That's at JWire25. He asked who the Cleveland Browns opening day starting quarterback will be. Josh, right now, my guess, and I emphasize this is a guess, a projection, whatever you want to call it, I'd say Kirk Cousins. They've got Kenny Pickett there. That gives them a baseline, a guy that they could start in a game today. I don't think Kenny Pickett is going to be their day one starter. The way I look at this is the Browns are looking to give themselves the most answers they can at the position while not overreaching on one with the second overall pick and giving them the flexibility if they do see Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter as demonstrably better than any quarterback they'll see there, which is any quarterback in the class minus in all likelihood Cam Ward. And I think the likelihood right now is that they will exercise that flexibility, that they would take Abdul Carter with the second overall pick, that he is a great fit for Jim Schwartz's defense and a great fit to play opposite Myles Garrett and eventually be the successor as the primary pass rusher for the Browns defense. And then take a quarterback in all likelihood somewhere maybe in the second or third round. I think there was a tell when it comes to this as well over the last week in that a week ago tonight, that's last Thursday night, they were in State College, Pennsylvania, ahead of Penn State's Pro Day, and the owner, Jimmy Haslam, his son-in-law, the vice president, J.W. Johnson, the general manager, Andrew Berry, took Abdul Carter out to dinner. The guy who wasn't there was the head coach, Kevin Stefanski, who happened to be in Oxford, Mississippi for Jackson Dart's Pro Day. And that's a significant allocation of a resource and putting somebody as important as Stefanski elsewhere to look at a quarterback who probably wouldn't be under consideration for the second overall pick, who would probably be the guy that you would look at either taking 33rd overall or moving up into the back of the first round to go and get. So I think the likelihood is they have Kenny Pickett there again as their baseline, that they potentially draft a quarterback on the second day of the draft. And if they come out of the first day of the draft without one, that's where I think they could make their move for Kirk Cousins. It's been well established. Kirk Cousins wants out of Atlanta. He wants to go somewhere where he's going to have a chance to play. He has said that to Falcons ownership. I was in a small media session with Falcons owner Arthur Blank, who said he's comfortable paying what they're paying for Kirk Cousins to be their backup quarterback. You've got a little bit of a standoff there. Cousins has told other teams that Cousins camp has told other teams that he will not waive his no trade clause until after the first day of the draft. So what happened to him last year in Atlanta won't happen again. But I think there's a good chance that we get to Thursday night of the draft. The Browns wind up taking Abdul Carter second overall. And then on Friday morning, they double back with the Falcons. They work something out with the $27.5 million that he's guaranteed for 2025. Maybe there's some sort of split of the money there. The Falcons get to clean the slate for Michael Penix. They get to save some of the money, which includes the $10 million guarantee for 2026. And the Browns have their starting quarterback for this year and a guy who has experience having worked with Kevin Stefanski as his quarterback's coach in 2018 in Minnesota and then his offensive coordinator with the Vikings in 2019. Question number 2 from Adam Zuckerman. That's at A Zuckerman VA. Trey Hendrickson, will he be traded? If so, when is it likely to occur? Our team's calling the Bengals, and if so, any idea who? Adam, a bunch of teams have checked in with the Bengals on this. It happened a while ago, though. He was given permission in March to go and seek a trade and to see what he could find as far as a team that would be willing to give up suitable draft capital and a massive new contract to go and get him. What I had heard was that Hendrickson's camp believed that they could go out and get a first-round pick for the Bengals, which was enticing, of course, for Cincinnati. Okay, go find that first-round pick. I'm not sure he did that. And it would have been, quite honestly, a lot to ask of another team to give up a first-round pick and a big contract. Remember, that's two significant assets that you are sinking into going and getting Trey Hendrickson at 31 years old. So Now this again, he's had that permission for, I believe, over a month now, and there hasn't been a trade. So now they're in a bit of a standoff. The Bengals, of course, have turned their attention to the draft, and Hendrickson, rightfully so, isn't happy about the level of communication between his agents and the team. And we'll see what happens. Again, I think this is one of those things where you're going to have to get past the draft, and we're going to see where the Bengals are once you get past the draft. They've obviously got a need at that position. Sam Hubbard retired, and Miles Murphy has to this point in his career been a bust. I'm not sure there's great hope that he's going to turn it around. So now you have your number one pass rusher by a big margin, and what are you where are you at that position? Well, you have a little bit more clarity after the draft. Other teams have clarity on where they are at that position after the draft as well, and this draft class is rich with edge rushers. So I think for right now, I think the likelihood is the Bengals and Hendrickson find a way to get something done after the draft. But if they don't, I think we'll have clarity on who it could be when you get past the draft, and those edge rushers that are available in the draft, we know where all of them are going. Finally, question number 3 from B, that's at B Gomes 8888. Is Stefon Diggs really ahead of schedule? If so, how far? Training camp? Question mark. I could just tell you, like just having talked to some of the people at the Texans, um, he wasn't going to be ready until some point in the summer. And that does not mean he'd be fully cleared for the start of training camp, but he wasn't going to be ready until some point in the summer. That was sort of the rough timeline they were working with. And they were prepared for the possibility that maybe they wouldn't have him for week 1. Now, I do think he's worked really, really hard. Ahead of schedule can be a little bit of a moving target, but I think, I think there's a chance that he has the ability to get out there in week 1. That would be just over 10 months. So he was injured right before Halloween. You're talking about the start of September, so you'd be a little over 10 months from separated from the injury itself. So yes, there's a chance that he's out there for week 1. Because of his age, because of the wear and tear in his body. Maybe it's it's not 99%, but I think there's a chance that he's out there for week 1. And then the question becomes, when is he going to have his sea legs underneath him? And I think that might wind up being the bigger question. Of course, if you look at the structure of his contract, you can see that not only did the Patriots have some concern over whether or not he was going to be ready based on all of the fail safes that were built into that contract. The fact they can get out of it after a year, the heavy per game roster bonuses, $3.4 million in roster bonuses, which are completely tied to injury. That's $200,000 per game. That rides on whether or not he is healthy enough to suit up. And the fact that the Patriots were able to get that deal with Stefon Diggs tells me, because I know Diggs would have preferred to go to a true contender, that tells me that other teams weren't willing to go further than that or even get to that level with him. Otherwise, maybe he would be elsewhere. So I love Steph Diggs as a player. I think he's a really good guy too, despite what some people might believe. And he works his ass off. He's one of the most competitive people in the NFL. So if there's a way to get out there for week 1, he'll find that way. But I think it's tough to, again, based on the injury, based on the timeline, based on the age, to bank on the idea that he's going to be there in week 1. And you can see the Patriots have built in some protection in case he isn't. We'll be back with one more Breer report this week. That'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big one in the college scouting community with the Colorado, they're not calling it a pro day, the showcase of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. We'll have some thoughts on that for you tomorrow morning and a whole lot more. We will see you guys then.